What the Truck is back, coming to you live from the Insight 2018 Trimble Conference in Houston. This episode is brought to you by Trimble, and we're here talking with our friends from Risk Pulse.
Eric Adamczyk visits us, meteorologist and weather analyst at Risk Pulse from the University of Albany. Shout out to, what's your mascot's name?
Oh, the Great Danes.
The Great Danes. Well, great day in the morning. We have a big topic to talk about, so thanks for joining in to running the gauntlet of the 5 good minutes with us. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
Ready or not, here we come.
Let's
Eric. What's unusual about Hurricane Florence?
Yeah, so Florence is definitely the track. So this is really an unprecedented track that Florence is taking, and it's kind of almost just a due westward approach, more west-northwest, but it's certainly the way that the jet stream pattern's configured. It's really kind of ushering the storm right into the eastern seaboard here, whereas typically they kind of recurve up to the north. So it's really the track here. Yeah.
Okay, so it's the high pressure thing, kind of keeping it down, keeping it on the west course.
Yeah, absolutely.
When we talk about hurricanes, Eric, and we talk about their impacts, we talk about wind, rainfall, and storm surges. How do those three things interplay with what we expect to see from Hurricane Florence?
Yeah, so it certainly each one of those three elements is going to play a big role in the impacts here coming up with Florence when it makes landfall. So initially, it's going to be your storm surge. It looks like Florence is going to be making landfall around Wilmington, North Carolina. So pretty much from Wilmington, kind of northward up the coast, that's really where you're going to see your storm surge impacts. And the highest wind impacts, you're probably going to see that right in the Wilmington area. But certainly, could be looking at some power outages. Again, on that northern side from Wilmington, we'll see quite a bit of surge there along the coast as well. But I think the real fact is going to be with the rainfall and the potential flooding. As once Florence actually moves inland into kind of more central North Carolina, there's a little bit of uncertainty in the weather models right now exactly how much rainfall will fall in these areas. But it looks like the storm will move inland, stall out, and there could be some. It's not out of the question for some areas to potentially see over 20 inches of rain.
Wow.
20 inches.
And
wow.
so that leads us probably to ask the most important overall question for our audience, and that is, what is the impact that you all anticipate on supply chains?
Absolutely, yeah. So it's certainly going to see some pretty high impacts to I-95 here. Could see some road closures along I-95, but certainly the shipments are likely to be delayed, more than 24 hours, particularly from South Carolina up through North Carolina. Also, ports, like the Port of Norfolk, other ports along the East Coast. I should say up to the Port of Norfolk, could potentially see
Savannah, Charleston, Wilmington, Norfolk.
Yeah, it's Savannah and Charleston probably to a lesser degree. Certainly, probly on the northern side of the.
Because they're not going to get the way it's rotating. They're not going to get that storm surge.
Yep.
Yes. All the way up towards like Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Absolutely.
I think we have time for another question, Eric.
Sure.
One of the things that we talked about in our conversation earlier today was how improved the forecasting and the modeling are for this hurricane. Can you explain a little bit about sort of how that's evolved, recently?
Yeah. So certainly, first and foremost, that's a great point. The forecast track for this particular storm, by some of the forecast models, has been very consistent. And actually, it's consistent now, pretty far in advance. And that's just there are certain upgrades and certain iterations that are done to the models here on a pretty regular basis. And it seems like they're starting to hone in on, especially in this particular storm. It was definitely.
And so we're getting like really accurate forecasts, 5-6 days in advance.
Yep.
How does that impact, evacuations and disaster preparedness?
Yeah, it just increases just that lead time that that for people to get out of the way. Also for businesses, supply chain businesses to make decisions. Perhaps
the impact will be less not as bad if we make the right preparations in advance.
Exactly. Hopefully people are starting to evacuate now and avoid some of the congestions when during evacuation. So hopefully that's.
Let's hope there's not a lot of issues of human error like there are with so many hurricanes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a big risk factor in the Wilmington and then even going into like the Charlotte area with like flash floods and stuff from 20 plus inches of rain?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's where I think there's still a bit of uncertainty in the forecast now, is exactly where that rainfall, the highest totals will be. But it's certainly none of the question that Charlotte could see some flash flooding. Again, once again, if that's ultimately where the storm kind of stalls out over once it comes in.
Yes. Okay. Well, you nailed the 5 good minutes, Eric, with a lot of good information in a short amount of time. So thanks for running the gauntlet.
Yeah, and thanks for making time for us this afternoon and stopping by.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you, sir. All right.
Guys.
Appreciate it, man.
Absolutely.